Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of If It Isn't Love podcast. I am your host, Danisha, and you,
J.L. Whitson,
my co-host. Welcome back to another week. We're excited. It's December. Jingle bells.
And also, we just got done with your birthday.
Yes, I am now 34. So,
Well, we're the same age.
only for a few more weeks.
Anyway, weeks.
Yeah. Like 9 of them or 10, but weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm 34. I'm excited. I had a great birthday. We did the videos, a lot of photo shoots. It was a really good birthday. It was the first birthday in 5 years that I haven't traveled, but it was really good, especially considering there's a pandemic still happening at this moment. I had an amazing time. Thank you, honey, so much for making my birthday everything. If you haven't already seen the video that we created, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, but you can go on YouTube, and if you go to my YouTube page, The D Renee, it's there. Maybe we'll put it on this podcast. We should. We'll put it up, we'll upload it. So just go to the If It Isn't Love podcast YouTube page, and we'll have the birthday video that we created in celebration of, well, me, but also just in celebration of some self-love, some love, all kinds. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful piece. Okay. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're going to get right into our topic because we tend to just beat around the bush. And so we're going to get right into it. It's probably something that people have heard a lot of in news. And when I say people, I just mean, I really be meaning Black people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other people may have heard it. I've really realized that
it was in the news.
Depending on who you are, your news is very different.
True.
Right? Your timeline, your Facebook, all that. The social network taught me that. Your timeline and what you see on social media will look different. So everything for me is like, I got Black Twitter, Black Facebook, Black Instagram. Mm-hmm. So it's very different because of the people that I follow. Mm-hmm. And things like that. So we're talking about True Kitchen. So yeah, we're talking about True Kitchen, which is a restaurant in Dallas, Texas. And they are in the news because apparently last weekend or the weekend before last, something like that, they were having brunch. Yeah. And and I don't know how other people brunch, right? I mean, I've gone to very mild brunches and I've gone to like daytime party brunches. Mm-hmm. Different atmosphere, right? If you're going to go to some like upscale, where it's a more mixed crowd versus like the young 20-somethings, mid 20-somethings, even early 30-somethings brunch, they're very different. But anywho, the atmosphere of what happened at this brunch was apparently there were a group of young ladies that were twerking at brunch. Yeah. And allegedly, or, and I'm not going to say allegedly because I've seen some of the videos, they were like standing on the couches and tables and the furniture twerking, right? The brunch spot did have a DJ and they were playing Throw That Ass in a Circle and the like. So twerk music. And so the owner, after coming out and talking to the group separately, asking them to refrain from dancing and standing on the tables and all of that, and apparently they didn't, decided to lecture the entire restaurant around, in my opinion, respectability, and he used some very respectability politics type lingo and pretty much told them, that this was not what he wanted his place to be, that it was, he did this for the culture and it's supposed to be a space for people to come and eat and enjoy themselves and not, ratify the place. So I have opinions on the subject, but I want you to start and tell us what you think.
Into buying this building, into developing this concept so Black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a... Come on, stop the music, please. somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? Yeah. No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, take it to Prime, take it to Pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I want men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves and you guys are twerking on glass here? If you want to do it, get the fuck out my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it now. Don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
Honestly, like I do feel like it was restaurant suicide to a certain degree, but also like I don't think like okay. One, twerking is a part of our culture anyway.
It is because he was just like this. It's not who we are. And I was
like, what do you mean, bro?
But it
like,
is.
Come on now. Like,
yeah,
that came from my ancestors now.
Yeah,
I mean, in different forms and ways and stuff like that. But I don't think I understand him not wanting those people to be on his furniture and everything like that, like feeding the furniture, all that stuff. I understand that. This is your place of business. This is your furniture that you paid for to basically have this restaurant. But what I didn't appreciate, I did not like at all, was the fact that he basically was like, he said something about, how can I ask these men to respect you if you don't respect yourself?
Right. Well, he said he told the young man, and we'll put a clip of this in there. He said, I asked the young men to respect themselves, and how can you expect them to be respectful and if y'all twerking? And also, like, he was telling them that twerking was them disrespecting themselves.
How?
I'm just telling you what the man said.
That part I don't understand. Like I maybe that's his view. Like I understand that's his view, but how is that them disrespect? Like they should be able to be free to dance and do whatever as far as like twerking or whatever. Like I don't see an issue with it. Like and especially if you didn't want anybody really twerking in your restaurant, like come on now, you playing the music for it. Like, as soon as you hear that violin drop on Back That Ass Up,
yeah,
somebody's gonna start getting up. Like all you need is that one violin drop. And people start going crazy and everything like that. Like, come on now. But I think with him it should have been more just about his furniture and his establishment. As far as please don't stand on my couch, please don't stand on my tables. Please. I get that. But as far as him saying like twerking is not respecting themselves, come on now.
Yeah.
That don't make any sense.
Yeah. I believe many things are true simultaneously in this story. Because I've seen a lot of people have feedback and, I've heard people say things like, kind of like, if you're going to play, throw that ass in a circle or back that ass up or whatever, people are going to twerk. I also 100% believe that adults should have full control of themselves. So yes, I would want to twerk if I heard the song, no matter where I am. I listen to twerk music at work. I also cannot just walk around my office throwing my ass in a circle. Like you have to keep everything in perspective. So I believe that that's what I'm saying. I think that multiple things can be true. I do believe that if you are an establishment and you create a certain atmosphere, you have to, and I think that because he also named off some places that I'm only assuming are clubs because I've never clubbed in Dallas. He said, if you want to twerk and everything, you should go to those places. So I'm assuming that there are clubs that he was saying, y'all can go to that if that's what you want to do.
Right.
And I've gone to places and some here, but mostly in Chicago where like we've gone to brunch and they play music and we were like, hey, but we also did not get up necessarily. We weren't standing on furniture.
Like a chair twerk.
Right. It was a chair twerk. I think that when somebody playing music, you can eat your waffle and do a little, while I'm eating my shrimp and grits, you might do a little something. But I also think that it's not the club. And unless it is a day party, right? Where there's a dance floor. There are places for that too, where there's a dance floor, or I could, after I eat my chicken and waffles, I could go over here and twerk. Although I feel like he set up the atmosphere for it. And if you're going to you have a DJ at brunch, right? It's not like you're just playing music in your restaurant. You have a whole DJ. So why do you have a DJ to say that this is not what you want, even though you are creating this entire atmosphere for it, is super confusing. But I also think that does not give people the right to be destructive to other people's property.
Right.
Like standing on the chairs and the tables and doing all that. And I don't know if he was doing a chair twerk that he was having issues, or they were getting up in the middle of the restaurant or whatever. I think that kind of stuff matters, because even though McDonald's is not upscale, I would not just bust it down in McDonald's. Like, that's not upscale, but I wouldn't just, if somebody was playing their headphones, I wouldn't just start dropping it in a McDonald's. So I think for adults to say, well, if you play that music, I gotta twerk. Like, no, you don't. You don't have to. You could absolutely, or you can restrain you. Nobody's gonna stop you from just being like, hey, hey. You could do that, but you don't have to be climbing on people's furniture. So people saying like, it's my right, you shouldn't play, like, y'all crazy. Y'all
I don't
grown.
think it, like,
you're grown.
That's not, because my whole perspective on even just that part, like, I can understand like a chair twerk or whatever. Like, even if it was just like right off the seat and everything like that. I ain't trying to be all technical with it.
I was gonna say, like, demonstrate.
Like, man.
What kind of twerk were you speaking of, sir?
None.
Is it the right lean?
Like, I can understand like within the confines of that your own area and whatnot, but like, I saw some of the video like from the news where like they were standing on top of the furniture, and I'm like, yo, like, I get it from that angle, but I don't think he should have been addressing the whole restaurant.
Yes, that
like, bruh, they sitting over here eating a meal and everything like that. And you talking about like you trying to do something for black people and everything like that. We like appreciate that, but you over here like degrading everybody else to what you are trying to, I guess, control and everything like that.
Yeah. My thing is, if you don't want people to, people shouldn't stay on the furniture. And if you told them once and they weren't listening, and you told them twice and they listened, you had every right as an owner of the establishment to put them out. You should have put them out. One, I also think if you are going to have a space where you have a DJ, you're playing this kind of music, you're the owner. I just think, and I'm not excusing anybody, but your clientele. And so that you can, in a way, save space, you should hire someone. You should have a manager or someone to be able to come and handle those kinds of situations. But say it's just you. Like, I want to think you should have security, because a lot of what people were saying is not only is the music, but like he had these like Hennessy slushies, which remember that was a Hennessy Douce. It's like a Douce slushie. So it was like in I'm guessing recycled Douce bottle with like on them fat smoothie straws, but it was like a Douce. And so the drinks just flowing, they coming out. So again, not excusing people, but if you're serving alcohol, right, and in abundance, and the Douce probably coming out before the waffles.
You're not putting any bread on your stomach.
And I'm hungry.
Right.
Are there rolls? Are there breakfast muffins
Is there
here
bread? Is there
sop this up?
Johnny cakes or whatnot?
Right. There's some Johnny cakes to sop this up? Probably not. So again, and I just keep wanting to say not to excuse their behavior, but like, it's just like a club. When they're going to expect more inebriated and intoxicated people. So when you have drunk people, you do a few things. You prepare for what that's going to look like. Said people have security. I have gotten toasted at a club, and I have gotten like, but you know what the people did? Like, and I don't get crazy, but like I started to fall asleep. Security came over real quick. Baby, you can't fall asleep. You got to leave.
Right.
So if you're going to do those kinds of things, if people get crazy, I've gone to a club where we had like a booth or whatever, and we sat on the top of the booth or whatever. And if the establishment didn't allow that, somebody came over to say, hey, you guys have to get down. So you need to set that kind of thing up so that, and then if people don't follow those rules and regulations, they get put out. And like you said, the room does not need a lecture about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, how they should conduct themselves. And you're really attacking people's character for this moment, right? You could have just, when those people didn't listen to you, you should have kicked them out and been done with it.
Right.
Kick that group
everybody else
out
is not
and
over
been
here
done
doing
with it.
anything with
Exactly. Like, it should not have been an entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the number one issue I had with this entire video was today or that day,
mm-hmm.
and today still, we are in a pandemic.
Bruh.
And these people were all in here packed.
No distancing between the seats.
That's what I'm saying. Now, I absolutely understand, because I've gone to a restaurant. I've eaten, outside. We don't do it that often. I think this week was probably the first time we ever ate inside
indoors,
somewhere.
Yeah.
But
one is cold. But,
right. But I mean, even when we went out for my birthday, it was outdoors. It was like an outdoor space. Right. And so when you eat, you take your mask off, because it's impossible to eat when you have a mask on, and when you're drinking. But when you're walking around the establishment, you have your mask on. But I'm sure and so you don't wear them with your table, but these tables there was no social distancing in between people's groups.
Not at all.
I'm sure that the people in the groups did not all live together. So they weren't, even if I'm going to meet my friend, we all packed at a table. It's a table here,
Just
it's a table here.
Everywhere.
When he went and talked to the group, you could see his mask around his neck, but he ain't had no mask. When I saw the videos of like him talking to the group about them getting down, he was all in the girl's face with no mask, getting close. I saw one of the videos, the girl was like, I mean, dang, sir. Like, she was like backing up because he was so close without a mask. Mm-hmm. And so all of this could have been prevented if people had just stayed at home.
What?
Or if he had not packed this place to that. Yes. Well, I think that.
As far as the twerking part,
yes. I mean, like this situation could have been handled if he was not trying to have you can't have a day party atmosphere, because you shouldn't be having any kinds of parties in groups because it's a pandemic. If people are going to run out and go get something to eat and you're going to listen to a little music, all right, cool, whatever. I'm over pressuring people to just stay in the house completely. I'm done with it. But the idea, they shouldn't have been in that kind of atmosphere. I get some places have clubs open. Clubs should not be open. There is no way to safely social distance in a club. And if you're going to set your brunch up like a club, there's no way to. Clearly, he didn't have the table social distance.
Not at all.
He ain't have no kind of, from what the videos I saw.
From the
videos I saw, there was no kind of like parameters. Even when the space looks small.
It does.
You didn't block off certain tables or areas or any of that. So for me, I'm just like, it could have been avoided. Like, period, hard stop right there, because it's a pandemic. And that should not have been happening. But I think he's going to not get clients. I think people going to want to go see.
My thing is, even with just the whole pandemic portion, like, I don't understand the mentality. Like, we see the cases rising all over the news, all over social media and everything like that. And folks is just like, oh man, that's bad. That's really bad. But I'm going to go ahead and do this. And
I still 100% believe that if people don't have not experienced it, and even if they have, right? Because there are plenty of people who have had COVID, who have had a loved one die, or maybe not die, but have a loved one have it and recover and not have any severe repercussions, at least from what they can see. And then they feel like, oh, well, now this person is immune. They're invincible. We're invincible. We can do it forever. Right. And so, or people who've had it and they feel like they can't get it again. So now they just going to do whatever.
Yeah.
There are definitely people who have not experienced it. So it's not real because it hasn't been in my house. So so COVID is not real to me in that sense. And we don't have any concrete governance across our nation, right? So there are places that are seemingly wide open, like a prostitute on Whacker, like,
oh my God,
wide open. Some cities, and then there are some that are like super shut down. and you don't have to wear a mask or you have to wear a mask everywhere there, like in LA, they just went back on lockdown. They never got completely off. Like the gyms in LA have been closed since March. You cannot eat indoors in LA. Like all of that is closed. And even the restaurant the seating is like at 50%. We're back at 75% here in Houston. And
our cases are
everything is open. Pretty much in terms of like what you can do, except those businesses that weren't able to recover. Right. But we were shut down for a few weeks, maybe a month, but in like April. But after that, we were like 25%, 50%, and we've been 75% for probably like the last month or so.
Right.
And but then you have places like Chicago that just went back on lockdown. It's so in Atlanta. Is there a pandemic in Atlanta?
I guess it's too hot there for a couple.
Atlanta, Miami. There's clearly no pandemic happening. Whatever. So it's so crazy everywhere that it's just like I get why I don't condone, but I absolutely understand why people
want to go out,
or people don't feel like it's as serious. Or people are confused, like, and I told you my feelings wane from moment to moment, and so I understand why people do. It doesn't mean I'm not finna go do something crazy. I tell you, I walked into somewhere last week without my mask, and no one said anything to me, and it was only because it was raining outside, and I was trying to get in, and I didn't think, and I'm just like and nobody said anything to me, and when I touched my face, I was like, oh my God, so I freaked out, and I'm like, and I asked the owners like, why didn't anybody say anything to me? And they're just like looking at me crazy. Right, free balling my lips out and my nostrils, and no one saying that. And yes, the onus is on me, and it's my fault, and I should make sure I put my mask on. I wasn't thinking, like I said, I was trying to get inside because it was raining really hard. But the fact that no one said anything, and I was just like, y'all are crazy. Because if it's my business, I'd have been like, ma'am. So,
mask. But
right, because we still have a mask mandate. We do have that.
But I guess it's not there in Dallas, I guess. Is it?
In Dallas? I don't know. Is the mask mandate?
Because if they weren't wearing, like, clearly.
They had masks, but they were eating.
Oh,
so, like, I saw people with their masks, like, it was around their neck.
But it was still mostly a distance issue with them.
Yes. Because there's no way you could have been. So, that was my whole thing. It's just no way you could have been.
But you said that you don't think that they'll lose any business?
No, because I think people are really curious. If the food is not nasty, no. They won't lose business. They have probably, at least not right away. People are going to try to see what's going on. I guarantee you that it's packed. Today's Sunday. I guarantee you it's packed today.
I don't know. Like I feel like I understand. Like, it's very hard for Black businesses as a whole and everything like that. Like, there's not. Of course, we don't make up a majority of the United States and everything, but. Like, I'm sorry, like, bro, like, you need to really address the fact that you basically degraded, like, pretty much Black women in your restaurant, like, which it looks like it's majority, like, it was majority Black women in your restaurant.
When we talk about supporting Black-owned businesses or supporting Black, it is majority Black women every time. Every time. It's going to be us supporting all the time. We also like to brunch.
But, like, even with, okay, since we're on the topic of respectability, politics, and all that good stuff, like, you are like, okay, I've been much more of the thought, like, I grew up, like, kind of, I don't even know how to word it, where, like, not making people uncomfortable and stuff like that. And you, on the other hand, you speak your mind, you do your thing, and proudly and unapologetically, which I was more like that. But what do you think he could, outside of just addressing that table, like, where do you think that, where do you think in other places he went wrong with that?
I mean, he should have shut the hell up. He should not have said what he said. I mean, I think that when you talk about, and so respectability politics, I know we've said that a few times. It is the idea that if I do something, it's a moralistic type of viewpoint. If I do something or I act a certain way, then I am deserving of respect, and then I will receive respect, and not just get respect because people should respect me because I'm a human, I'm a person, or I'm an adult, or, you know, I'm a patron of your establishment, or whatever the case is. So when people think that, and Black people, and it's usually towards the Black community, and we not only get it from non-Black people, usually white people, but we do it heavily to ourselves within our own community. And that's what he did. This idea that if I behave this way, then people will respect me. So that's what he's saying when he was talking about, he tries to make sure the men respect themselves, and he's on men, and he wants the men to respect the ladies. And how can the men respect the ladies if you twerking? Me shaking my ass has nothing to do with you respecting me as a person.
I think Kev on stage said it best. Like, I respect a good twerk.
Exactly. Whatever. But no, I'm not. No. But I just feel like that has nothing to do with the person. And, you know, sometimes we operate very heavily in respectability politics. And I'm a person who professionally works in the professional development and career improvement world. And so a lot of people even put under the guise of professionalism, but there's like that respectability politics thing where it's like, if the person fits this mold, then they must know more. And so I'm always torn because I used to be very like behind the like, dress this way, do this, and the older I get, the more experience I get, the more I deviate from that, because none of that has anything to do with my capabilities to do a job.
Right.
And so I realized that about other people. If I decide to have like burgundy hair, that has nothing to do with me being able to do my job well. And I think straight hair versus your natural hair or any of that. And I think that part of his issue was them standing on his furniture was wrong.
That was the problem.
That ain't have shit to do with them not being respectful. If you didn't want, and even in terms of twerking, if I don't have a dance establishment, like I said, even if it's McDonald's, you shouldn't just be throwing it around at McDonald's, even if your song is playing in the background. You know what I'm saying?
I can understand it might even be a knee-jerk reaction because, like, thing about it is, like I said before, as soon as you hear that violin drop on back that ass up, you gonna get up, but then
it's not necessarily. Adults. Again, people have to still be mindful of this. Same violin drop. I'm in a car. I'm gonna turn it up, and I'm gonna be right here with the shoulder. But I'm also driving, right? So I can't just pull over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that. If it comes on in my headphones and I'm at work, say I'm just not in my office, or say my office door is open. I mean, pandemic again, so not happening. But say, you know, before and I'm listening to it in my headphones, I might just be like, okay, my type get a little more aggressive or whatever the case is, like, I'm typing stuff that's not real words.
Okay, now, lady.
Right. So I get that. And if I'm at home chilling, yeah, but even if I'm out at a restaurant, I might be like, okay, but that doesn't mean I got to get up and bust a split in the middle of, you know, the aisle or whatever the case is. And so I think that people have to remember that and it doesn't have anything to do though with his whole thing of like twerking makes you less ladylike and less deserving of respect. That ain't it. There's also just a time and place for different things, and it's also like respect other people's stuff. So for me, I only side with him, and people should have respected his space and his stuff, because it's not your place.
Right.
And also just like, it's not like, oh, you got to act right in public. It's not that there's anything wrong with twerking, but you have to also realize it's a pandemic. Respect other people's space. Respect the fact that I want to eat my pancakes without your ass anywhere near them.
Flapjacks and okay.
Like, I don't want any of that, right? Like, you have to just be very mindful of, like, you know, I don't want your cakes near my cakes. Like, none of that. So, and that's what I'm talking about. It don't have nothing to do with you being a respectful woman and being able to do what you want to do, and that make you less than. Yeah. So he was spewing this rhetoric that like, oh, if y'all women didn't do it, I'm telling the men to and also the thought that men won't respect you if you twerk, or how can you expect somebody to respect you if you're twerking? Like,
But that's up to the dude to respect you regardless.
Exactly.
Like, that's in their court, not
But that's the
it.
idea, and people might think it's too far, but that's the same idea behind like rape culture. It is, if I dress, you dress like that, so you must have wanted it. No, it's my body, and I have body autonomy, and I can wear what I want. And yes, you need to realize that in certain places, not in terms of being assaulted, but in terms of the kind of attention you get, and in terms of what's distracting. Like, you can't have your clitoris out, at Walmart, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are those things, but if you did, it doesn't mean that people have the right to degrade you or say anything crazy to you. And we live in a society where people think that because somebody does something, now that gives me the right to cause harm or make them uncomfortable. You also have the right, you have the ability to walk away and not say anything. People forget that you could say nothing. You could do nothing. It is always an option. And I think too often people forget that piece.
True. I think he also forgot the fact, like, okay, this stuff happens to Black men as far as what we're wearing as well. Like, in terms of, like, of course, I'm not a big fan of the baggy pants situation.
Oh, keep talking. You made me think of something.
Oh, okay. I'm not a big fan of the baggy pants situation, but I'm not going to treat, like say if, like, one of my friends was wearing baggy pants, like, or something like that. Like, I don't think, like, there's been plenty of times where they have basically been stopped or basically been, harassed because of that. And you over here thinking, like, just because they're wearing baggy pants, like, they should be harassed by the police or something like that. Like, that's not supposed to be the case or anything like that. Like, just because they look a certain way and everything like that. Or when we tell them to, like, no, pick your pants up and everything like that. And this won't happen to you. This stuff still happens to people who dress very nicely. This stuff still happens to people who basically have like a sharp suit on or anything like that. So that's what I think where we get this whole, like, I've used to be that person where I'm like, no, man, you need to go ahead and dress a certain way. You need to pick up your pants off the ground and whatnot. But that's not stopping anybody from harassing them about the way that they look, or basically stereotyping them because of the way they look.
Exactly. No. So what else? I mean, I absolutely agree. And again, being that I work in a space where we talk a lot about professionalism and how you have to dress, like how you have to dress for an interview, and like, it's not that I don't believe that you wear certain things for certain occasions and things like that. I'm just saying that if you don't, or if you deviate from, it doesn't devalue you. Your value is not less if you don't do certain things. And I get when people want to create a certain atmosphere. Like, you can go to work, you got to wear, now we work from home, so I don't have to wear shoes at all. But, when I'm in the office, for the most part, like, you have to, you don't wear jeans or like whatever the case is and stuff like that. But I've learned more, especially about being a Black woman in this culture or in this society. When I work, and what professional looks like to me will be very different. And what made me realize that, honestly, is when I would go to work, I would put so much effort into what I look like. In terms of making sure my outfit was pressed and I look polished. I wore heels all the time, makeup always done, hair laid, just very, very, I was trendy always, but like very on point. And some of the people who led me, who were, my bosses or in positions, they didn't put that kind of effort into what they look like, and most time white people who look fairly slovenly, made more money than me. And yeah, they weren't wearing jeans or colored hair or anything like that, but they weren't super well kept either. It would be like, some mishmash dress, something that clearly and I'm not trying to shame people who I shop at Goodwill, but it's like, clearly you've had this since the 70s. Like, they didn't put that kind of effort into what they look like, and people never or didn't wear makeup and that kind of thing. And no one thought less of them or that they were less professional because of how they looked. even though they were not polished. So I put that same thought. So if I want to wear something that's more colorful, I want to change my hair, I want to wear my natural hair, I want to be, with different kind of patterns, I want to wear bigger earrings, all that kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with my ability to be professional.
But, okay. So there's two things that I want to bring up before you bring so as far as it being generational, like, because all this stuff, these ideals are passed down, especially even with dudes. Because I know even for me, like most of the ideals as far as basically, I guess it's conforming or something like that. How much do you think it affected you? I mean, how did you get out of that?
A whole bunch. I remember one of my very first real job out of college. I was actually, my boss was a fifth grade from Houston, which is so funny. And, she was the director of our program. I was working in social services for a social services agency. And I was a case manager. And I remember when I first interviewed for the position, I didn't have any money. I just graduated from college. It was a recession. So there was like no weave stuff. I was growing my hair out. So my hair was natural and it was like pulled back into like a little chignon thing. Like I had put it back and like put a headband or something. I did what I could. It was neat, but it was natural. She knew my capabilities. She had also seen me before. I got hired. When I got my first check, I had a little bit of money, was able to go get my sew-in. So I remember wearing my sew-in after when I started, I was natural, and I think I was wearing like braids or kinky twists. And she said something like, yes, this is it. You want to look polished and professional. Make sure you, like, pretty much telling me like my hair straightened and everything was like the way to go. And that's how she did. I never saw her with her hair curly. She always had her hair blown out, wore heels, very like polished, put together. And when I think about going to a HBCU, although it's something that I treasure, and I think about how so many of the people in leadership put the idea of respectability politics into us as students. Like, if you look this way and you act this way, then you'll get respected. Now, I think there's two sides to that coin. I'm not saying that those people are not wrong, because we live in a world where sometimes people will not listen to you and when you look a certain way. And you have to sometimes conform to get through the door. I wouldn't wear hair like this and stuff like this to an interview. I'd absolutely probably wear straight or lightly flipped black hair. I probably would never wear big curly hair to an interview. I mean, not that I never would. At this point in my career, yes. But before, no. But I mean, after the first week of work, I'm hired. Once I got the job, I do what I want in terms of my appearance.
Like, okay, switch.
Yeah, in terms of my appearance, I do what I want once I have the job. But I absolutely believe that sometimes you have to conform to what people want to see so they can hear you. People can't hear you. Sometimes people will refuse to listen to you. They wouldn't listen to this.
True.
But they would, same person, same degree, same credentials, same experience, but they won't listen to it, which is why I think some of the work that I do with my students, and sometimes some of the work that I do outside in terms of how I advocate for us in the workspace, in the professional space, is I want to do more work with employers and telling them like what you should be looking for in a candidate outside of the aesthetics. And I love when I see people in high positions use their positioning to not conform. There's this one lady, I want to say she is a higher up in Netflix right now. And she has like this super long list of credentials where she was like CEO of these mega corporations and stuff like that. Her name is Bosma. I think Bosma St. John, I want to say. And she wears, I will put a picture in here. She's Ghanaian, and she wears like her big natural hair. She's very dark skinned, beautiful. She wears colorful attire. Like she is unapologetically herself, and she's still busting through doors and barrier. And so for me, that just inspires me to do that, right? To like be like, I'm gonna go to work, and I work hard for the education that I have. I work hard for the knowledge and experience I have. So my nails, like none of that matters. And it's a part of my culture. So we also have to realize, and it kind of streams into what I was going to talk about with the list that they created. When you look at some of the things that are considered professional, a lot of it's professional, like for white standards. And it's not us. It's not about us, according to whose standards. So a lot of the things that when people say like, or the dress code, it's not according to who we are, which you see so many people, have battles with HR and things like that over hair, right? Like, oh, because I wear my locks. And then the idea of like locks being unkempt. So, black men can't wear locks and things like that. And it's, when people talk about like a neat cut, all that kind of stuff, it was not made for us. Now we're supposed to be professional, but my professionalism has nothing to do with whether or not, my hair is a certain texture. Like you could have wavy hair, curly hair, white girl. Nobody gonna say anything to you. But if I do it like it's snappy, it's unkempt, who I am is considered unprofessional.
Right.
Naturally. And so you want me to transition to being, which is why I always like, and I think people, it's so internalized into how we do. People don't even notice. When I used to wear my hair, like when I was natural for a long time, and then I like cut it all off and went short, and then everybody, and I wore my, and I hate when black people, especially white people, but even when, I'm lying, white people, but especially like the black people at work, like, oh my God, yes, this, I love your hair like that. Like when it's straightened, like shut up talking to me. I hate that. And I think people think that I change my hair all the time and I like it. I hate when people compliment it extra when it's
laid.
When it's, like, I don't want to say when it's very mainstream. And there's nothing wrong with my hair like that. Clearly I enjoy it, but it's not better.
And then on top of that, what's wrong with the other styles? Like, I mean, granted, like, so was that the WAP hairstyle and stuff like that from the 90s and whatnot? Would you wear that?
Not today, but I used to have finger waves when I was like in 5th grade. My mama wouldn't let me get them without a bang because she said because I'm a kid and I still gotta have a kitty hairstyle. Right. So I had finger waves, like a little high finger wave. But I had a bang too. Oh, like, so, I was like 11, but yes.
My mom, like, because my mom wears locks and everything like I was happy when she got them because one, like, she, like, granted, I'm not necessarily the most, the biggest fan of the smell of perm, especially back then, because like the smell was like super loud and everything. But my mom used to wear braids a lot, and I always liked that. And then but when she started wearing like the falls and the sew-ins and everything like that, I started noticing she was like her hair was getting slightly damaged and whatnot. So like that was the only thing. I'm like, what's wrong with you wearing your hair the way you want to and everything like that, especially with the braids or when she got her locks and everything like that, I'm like, all right.
I just think that people should be able to wear their hair how they want. That's it. That's especially black women, without critique, without anything. And I think, like, yes, I understand, and this kind of deviating, I understand how our hair is a big deal. And it is a big, and I think that when people say anything about your hair, people don't realize how big of a deal it is because we're so defined by our hair and its texture. And it is a statement. It's a political statement to like change your hair and to do something different.
But why?
Like, because that's the world we live in. So like people tell you the way your hair is naturally grown out of your head is wrong. And then we have this natural movement, but everybody, look, sometimes it really depends on how I feel. Being natural takes a lot of work. I was natural for years. It's a lot of work. Right now I'm in between. My hair looks crazy because it's like soup. It's like 2 or 3 inches of curly, and then it's all curly in the back because I had the low fade, and then it's just the hangover straight pieces. It looks crazy, and I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I should cut it off. I don't cut it off because I still want to be able to put my hair in a ponytail. And if I cut off the straight pieces, the curly ain't long enough. Well, I can't be in a ponytail. But I just think that ultimately, women, especially Black women, should be able to wear their hair the way they want, and that's it. And you should care for your hair. So some people wear sew-ins and everything all the time, and their hair is cared for, so it doesn't damage. Depending on your grade of hair, I have very thin hair. So a lot of times when I did sew-ins and stuff, it would be damaging because my hair is thin. It's just not thick. I have female pattern baldness that runs in my family. So I'm just on the bad end of the stick when it comes to that. But I digress. I want to go back. We can talk about hair another time because I wanted to talk about when you're talking about like the list and whatever. I can't find it, but there was actually a dress code for this restaurant
with the no hats and no fuzzies.
And it was so funny because I don't mind a dress code. I get when you go to a restaurant and it's like, you can't wear jeans and gym shoes and stuff like that. But his list was clearly, he should have just said no black people, because it was stuff, young Black people. He literally named things that were very on trend that you would see on every other page of a Fashion Nova right now. He was like, no bodysuits, was it leggings? I don't think it was leggings. It was no bodysuits. It was no slippers, especially the fuzzy kind. So, everybody wear them slides with the little furry things on.
Didn't Rihanna have some?
Probably. He don't care. Rihanna can't wear them to his restaurant. He said you can't wear those. He said, no casual head coverings like a baseball cap or a do-rag or stuff like that. He did what people did when you want to go to a club and they'll tell you like no tall tees when tall tees are in style. Literally look at what Black people are wearing and then you say like, this is where it goes into the respectability politics piece, because it's, if you're dressed like this, and clearly, because when you talk about respect yourself, these kind of people don't respect themselves, so you cannot wear this. Now I get you can't wear a bodysuit if you're talking about like just a bodysuit like with the little snap in the crotch and that's it. Okay. With no pants. Like I get you can't wear that to a restaurant. Like panties, I get. Like if it's not a beachside restaurant, you can't and even that, you go to beachside restaurants and you wearing your bathing suit down the street, you still gotta put a wrap on like or covering something to sit at the restaurant. So I get that part. But to say people can't wear like slides with the furry thing, like the furry, he said especially those, like he must really hate those freaking shoes. Like to say, but you don't have to wear them. Look, women sitting in their houses right now, working from home, not wearing, you saw when I tried to wear heels, I would look like Bambi on crack out the womb. It was crazy, okay? And I wore heels since I was 14. And at 20 years later, I was struggling. It was also raining, so that made it very difficult. Those shoes are uncomfortable to begin with, but they matched. So that is why I picked them. And I couldn't strap on the other ones, which is why I put those on, because I could put them on. We were at the restaurant. But anyway, so people, they trying to wear comfortable shoes if they do go out to eat. And I just don't understand.
No gym shoes too?
Yeah, no gym shoes.
So I gotta wear dress shoes.
Yeah. To eat your waffles and your Douce slush.
I will go to IHOP.
Yeah. But that is I'm not saying that people can't have a dress code, but his dress code was clearly targeted at a specific demographic, which is us. So you can't create a space for us and then dictate how we dress when we come.
Exactly.
But he did, and I'm just, so me at 34 years old would not go.
Right.
I think that people who are in their 20s and stuff like that, and I'm not saying that they will, but I think people are like that are more susceptible. Like, yeah, because I'm going to go brunch. I ain't trying to go out and eat with a whole bunch of people anyway. More than likely, if somebody invite me to brunch, I'm going under duress.
And then on top of it, like he can't even have the excuse of saying I'm trying to attract the church crowd for brunch and everything like that, because of the fact not everybody is wearing a suit to church anymore.
Yeah, but also you serving Douce slushes.
Exactly.
So I just don't know what, I think that he is very confused about who he is trying to attract. But he wants he's somebody doing for the culture. He wants a specific Black person. Mm-hmm. But you're also not creating an atmosphere for that person. Look, I'm not saying like, cause look, I can go either place. I could go places and back that ass up at a day party, but I also could go just sit. And I've had plenty of nice brunches where me and my friends just went out and ate, and we just seriously ate. There was no music, or there was like classical music playing in the background, mm-hmm. and we ate really good and had a great time. Mm-hmm. And we've also gone places where I don't know what we ate, but we drank a lot, and so it made the food taste delicious. And we were dancing. Mm-hmm. So I can do both things, but I think that if you want a certain atmosphere, then you have to, going back to what we said initially, you have to create that atmosphere. You probably should get rid of the DJ. You probably shouldn't play that kind of, there's plenty of other kinds of culturally relevant music, even pop stuff that's very mainstream, but that's not it's not throw that ass in a circle. Mm-mm. You can play mainstream music that's not that. You can put on some Chloe and Halle. You could put on Beyonce. You could put on a lot of people that have music that are for the culture. Even if you put Summer Walker, there's stuff you could play. Mm-hmm. Some LMA, like whatever. There's just tons of Black music that you could play, play some Ari Lennox that's not going to do that. You probably should just nix the Douce slush. People were saying that the drink menu was more extensive than the food menu.
That sounds like a club to me.
All day.
Because
not to mention, it's called True Kitchens and Cocktails. He must be a Kappa because I think the cocktails with a K.
But my thing is let's see. When you go to a regular club or anything like that, most of their menu is drinks. A small 25% of that menu is like sliders or chicken wings and stuff like that.
So that's my whole thing. He did not create the kind of atmosphere that he claimed he wanted in his restaurant. So I just really don't. And then to talk to people like they're your child. And honestly, I wouldn't talk to my damn kid like that. Maybe my kid. But not maybe. But I wouldn't be talking about no respectability politics. He needed to just
address those people who were at the table versus addressing a whole restaurant of people that had nothing to do with it.
Because let me tell you, if I had been in that restaurant, although pandemic, so I wouldn't have. But had I been in that restaurant when that happened, pre-COVID, it would have been a whole nother video of me talking. Because I definitely would have been like, sir, I'm over here trying to enjoy your dry grits.
Oh,
please spare me the speech. If you weren't talking to me in a table, and I would say maybe they should have sat down, but you're not going to sit here and lecture me on how to be a woman and be a respectable woman. And you're not going to lecture the rest of the women in here. If you don't want them in your restaurant, then you kindly ask them to leave because they're disrespecting your face. And you leave the rest of us the hell alone and let us eat these rubbery shrimp. That's exactly what I would say. I don't care how good it was. The grits would be dry and the shrimp would be rubbery. And Black Twitter would absolutely have said something like, I don't want a lecture with my meal. Does that is that part what the gratuity is? No.
That's your tip for the day?
Your tip for the day. Literally, sir, if you don't get the hell away from me. That's how I felt. I didn't watch it for a while because I was like, I know how niggas be. Sorry.
No,
I know how people be. I know how people be doing stuff like that. And it makes me crazy. Because if you're asking me to, it is not surprising. If you're saying a Black man disrespected a group of Black women, even though he was a professional man in his own establishment, do you believe that? Absolutely. Because disrespect don't have anything to do with it don't have to be physical or anything like that. People just thinking they can say and I hate for it to be like this, but people thinking they can just say anything to Black women, people feel, they have the audacity to do that, to say whatever they want to Black women. People got it, and it's crazy. See, I just
know
be
that's
wishing.
not what you wanted to say.
I am just happy that I'm the kind of Black woman that I want to be in more of those spaces, so I can be like, not today. Just put that clip of that girl when she does that. Not today. Like, that's how I feel. Like, but people feel so inclined to try to tell Black women how they should be and how they should act and do and whatever. And it's just like, sir, shut up and go flip a flapjack.
Now, okay. My thing on that. So I used to be that, I would say, in my early 20s. Like, probably like a small, like 1 or 2 years, maybe. I don't know. Because it's like, I'm like, okay, like, it was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, everybody was doing it. Black women were doing it and everything like that, speaking their minds on being a respectable woman. But then I'm like, yo, I am not a Black woman. I'm just gonna go ahead and chill out and let that part just mesh itself out. Like, I will have my opinions, but at the same time, is my opinion really valid?
And then it's like,
on that,
to what end? For you to decide like what type of person you want to be with and what you are and are not attracted to is fine. Yeah. You can be attracted to what you are attracted to. You're not attracted to a woman that show her ass on Instagram, which we know that's not true for you. You are. But if you're not attracted to that, don't date that type of woman. But don't tell that woman she'll never get anybody because of what she does. Everybody will be talking about the girls that won't get ahead because of how they are. Them girls be winning. Let me tell you, if I hadn't spent so many years holding on tightly and to dear life to my morals, you know how much money I would have and how much debt I wouldn't, because I would have been throwing his ass in a circle on stage. I can dance and I got a fat booty, but my knees bad. I should have waited till when my knees was good. What? I would have created the Pank before the Pank was a thing. Okay? Magic City would have been Darnisha City. Y'all crazy. But I was like, so like those kinds of girls, a man, and you know, even, and again, going to an HBCU where they would just talk about like, you know, if you dress this way, you look this way, and this kind of guy is going to marry this kind of girl. Like, yeah, some very respectable, nice guys married some of the nicest, quietest girls. And some of the girls who was hoeing down the yard are also married. It just, none of that matters because people are attracted to what they are attracted to. And for you to tell a person that they won't win in life or people won't respect them because of how they dress or what they look like, it's like, sir, kiss my ass.
I hate to bring up that guy. There's like a clip going around about some dude basically saying, like it was like a,
excuse me.
She was basically asking his advice or something like that.
I haven't watched it.
So I can't really speak on it, but I'm like, yo, like, first of all, you shouldn't be asking this.
It'd be the most basic looking like niggas too. I'm sorry. It'd be the most.
Like, he literally hit her like, you don't look good, you're dusty type of situation. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess it was for his show.
It'd be the most fours. Fours be having a lot to say about the rest of fours. You know, like 1 through 10, scale of 1 to 10, how you look. 4 and below be having a lot. You said
forest.
No, like 4s and below. They be having a lot to say. Like, sir, you got, but, and I haven't seen it, so I didn't hear everything he said. But I'm going to guess that she has seen his show before and knows the kind of energy he brings and still went on there. Because there's some people who I would not go because I'm like, I know what you go, what kind of energy you bring.
I would rather like speak more on that later because of the fact like we neither one, like I wanted it to be a surprise for both of us.
Well, we watch it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch it. So I purposely, again, it's kind of why, I mean, I had seen clips of the video for True Kitchen, but I mean, I had seen enough commentary and I had read articles on it where I felt like I didn't need to fully watch it. I watched it because we were going to talk about it for the podcast. But sometimes I try to really monitor the amount of that kind of content that I absorb. Because like I said, I don't need tons of content of especially Black men telling Black women how they're less than.
Yeah,
I don't need that
damaging.
kind of I don't need that kind of content. And I think sometimes people think that we're over exaggerating or it's not true, but I'm like, when I say so much of my life as a Black woman has been watching Black men and other men of color, but especially Black men, tell me that I wasn't good enough, and knowing all the work that I had to do to undo that, and that still do, to feel worthy, to feel like I'm good, and it don't have anything to do with the approval of anyone on the outside. I don't want to see another Black man tear down a Black woman. Like, I don't want to do it. And I'm not saying that, I never say that Black men don't deserve love, or that sometimes there are Black women that don't support Black men, or, the world doesn't support Black men. I don't say any of that, because I believe that there are definitely instances of that. But nobody will ever make me believe in this day and age, today, as it stands, that Black women are supported and loved on to the level that it's given, that they give to Black men. And so, yeah, we have individual instances. I feel loved by you, but if we're asking, like, do I feel that on a grand scale? Absolutely not. But because you get so many instances of, and it don't matter how famous you are, because you see so many famous, every other day, you got Cardi getting talked about, people rooted for her, Megan getting shot. It don't matter who you are in that sense. So many of us buy those who are supposed, in my mind, to love us. So sometimes I just have to be like, I'm not gonna watch that. I see enough commentary to be like, I know that he was saying some rude things, and I'm not caping for him, but I do question her going on the show. Like I said, I feel like she probably saw it at some point, and I'm just like, what would make you go if you knew, like, this man comes with this raggedy energy?
Indeed.
So it's crazy, but I mean, I don't know if y'all want to go to True Kitchen in Dallas.
I'm not, because my thing is, I want to be comfortable eating my waffle. Yes,
brunch turned me off in Dallas. Trying to get something to eat when we was in Dallas was the hardest thing. We also were trying to eat outdoors and all that stuff. Yeah. But I was like, we spent 3 hours before we had anything. So I am not.
Even with just I.
Right. So I'm not I wouldn't be in a rush if I was in Dallas to go to brunch, period. But I surely wouldn't be trying to go to True Kitchen. But last point that I have about this is, I also saw some people saying, like, this is why, we don't support Black business, because let me tell you, I hate when people say stuff like that, because although I may not support this specific person's restaurant, because this owner, who is a Black man, decided he was going to show his tail about some Black women and respectability politics. So yeah, I probably wouldn't. But it don't have nothing to do with Black businesses in general. So I hate people say, like, be your own.
Generalizing.
Yes. Do you know how many bad Waffle Houses I've been to in my life? And still go. Well, I've actually only been to Waffle House intoxicated. IHOPs. I've never been to a Waffle House sober. Never.
I mean, granted,
there's a Waffle House down the street from my house. We need to stop eating like trash pandas. We have been eating bad for a week. There's just not enough air freshener in the world. But no. But I say that to, like, I've had IHOP. I've had terrible experiences at IHOP. Mm-hmm. People still go to International House Little Pancakes. People be like, ugh, that ain't. People still go. So I hate when people say, like, oh, see, we try to support our own. Just go to. There are plenty of Black brunch spots. Go to another one.
Yeah, like, I feel like they do that, like, with Black businesses as a whole. Like, it's like one and done for everybody.
Yes, which I hate. Like, I want to support Black business all the time. A lot of times I support other businesses. It has zero to do with me having a bad experience. It's like, I really want to stop shopping at Amazon because I realize the evil. Also, 2-day shipping. 2-day shipping. And it also be significantly less expensive than, well, not all the time because I'm a shop-arounder. But it's most times significantly less money. When you put together being a Black woman, getting paid, historically getting paid less wages than my counterparts and everything. So I got less money. I can't necessarily always shop at the places where it's more expensive. I do try to though. And I do support Black businesses. There are certain things where I'm like, I'm going to buy this. I know it's Black owned. I need this. I'll go out of my way. But, I still, the Amazon demon is still on my shoulder. Fighting it a day at a time. Okay.
Crazy.
I got nothing else. What you got? Anything else?
Nothing on the topic because I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about it, or there's going to be another instance where we are going to talk about it again.
As long as the niggas keep digging.
But thank you for joining us and enjoying our journey. Like we said earlier, if you haven't seen her birthday video, go check it out. It will be on our page, but it's up on her page, the D Renee.
Yeah, that's it.
YouTube channel. But also check that out because she does a lot of wig reviews and everything like that. And she be recommending some good ones. So like a lot of good ones. And then I think you're going to do makeup tutorials, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead and check that out. You can follow us on YouTube, If It Isn't Love Podcast. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, If It Isn't Love Podcast.
Yes.
You can ask us questions, interact with us. We'll hit you back. And then also we have a email address, ifitisinlovepodcast@gmail.com. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's usually my line, so I ain't got nothing else, you guys. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your week. Peace, love, and soul. Is that taken?
It is. It's
Soul Train still out? Soul Train ain't out.
The awards is.
Okay, that's not. Bye, guys.